Hold up. Before you start saving money for the iPhone 18, let me tell you why you might want to look at something completely different. What if I told you that Apple's most boring phone could actually be the smartest purchase you make this year? I am talking about the iPhone 17e, a phone that does not try to impress you with fancy features, but might just give you everything you actually need. Today we are diving deep into why this affordable iPhone could be the game changer that nobody's talking about. And trust me, by the end of this video, you might completely change your mind about which iPhone to buy next. So here is what's happening. Apple is doing something pretty unusual this March. Instead of their typical big event with Tim Cook on stage, they are planning something different. We are looking at 3 simultaneous events in 3 different cities on March 4th. No traditional keynote, just press releases and product announcements throughout the week. And somewhere in that mix, the iPhone 17e is expected to make its debut. Now, I know what you're thinking. Another budget iPhone that is probably going to disappoint us like so many others. But here is the thing, this time might actually be different. Let me break down 3 simple reasons why the iPhone 17e could be exactly what most people need. First reason, the price makes sense. Look, we have gotten used to paying over $1,000 for phones. Somehow that became normal, but let's be honest, most of us do not actually need all those premium features. The iPhone 17e is expected to stay around at $599 price point, maybe $650 at most. That is not exactly budget territory, but in the iPhone world, it is practically a steal. Think about it, you are getting into the Apple ecosystem without having to sell a kidney. Second reason, the hardware is surprisingly solid. If the rumors are true, and I have to stress these are still rumors, you are getting an A19 chip. That is not some leftover processor from 3 years ago, that is current generation silicon. Sure, it might be a slightly cut down version, but it is still going to be incredibly powerful. We are also looking at 8 gigs of RAM, which means Apple Intelligence features will work properly. The cameras are expected to be decent too, nothing groundbreaking, but good enough for most people's needs. The third reason, and this is huge, MagSafe is finally coming. If you have used any recent iPhone, you know how much MagSafe matters. It is not just about wireless charging. It's about the entire ecosystem of accessories. Those car mounts, wallet attachments, and charging stands. Suddenly all of that becomes available. When I tested the iPhone 16e, the lack of MagSafe was honestly one of its biggest problems. You felt like you were missing out on half the iPhone experience. The iPhone 17e is expected to support 25-watt MagSafe wireless charging, which puts it right in line with the premium models. Let's talk about the competition within Apple's own lineup. Here is where things get interesting. The iPhone 17e might actually be a better choice than some more expensive options. Take the iPhone 16, for example. According to research, it was the best-selling iPhone of 2025, which makes sense. But here we are in 2026, and paying $699 for a phone with an older chip starts to look questionable. Especially when you can get the iPhone 17e for $599 with newer silicon and similar everyday performance. Yes, the iPhone 16 has a dual camera setup and might feel more premium on paper. But let's be real, for most people, the difference between one good camera and 2 cameras is not life-changing. Your text messages will send just as fast. Your Instagram will scroll just as smoothly. Your video calls will look just as good. The bigger difference will show up over time. How long that newer processor stays smooth, and how well it handles future software updates. If you are buying a new phone in 2026 and you're not specifically chasing flagship features, choosing newer silicon at a lower price just makes sense. Now let's compare it to Android competition. The Google Pixel 10a is already available for pre-order, and on paper, it looks pretty attractive. It is cheaper, has a 120Hz display, a bigger battery, and faster wired charging, all for under $500. So why would anyone choose the iPhone 17e over that? Here is where we need to look beyond the spec sheet and think about long-term ownership. Apple's A19 chip is built on a 3nm process, and it is almost certainly going to outperform Google's Tensor G4. That might not matter much in the first year, but if you are planning to keep your phone for 4 or 5 years, it absolutely will. If you do any gaming or video editing, or you just want a device that will still feel fast years from now, Apple's track record with silicon is hard to beat. The Tensor G4 has improved a lot compared to previous generations, but it still runs warm under heavy workloads. During intense tasks, it can lose up to 50 to 60% of its performance due to thermal throttling. The A19 chip is expected to handle sustained workloads much better. Let's address the elephant in the room. What are we missing? The iPhone 17e is not going to have everything. You are probably not getting the fanciest camera system with multiple lenses and all the computational photography tricks. The display might not be the absolute best Apple can offer. You might not get some of the premium materials and finishes, but here is the question you need to ask yourself. Do you actually need those things? For most people, the answer is honestly no. A single good camera that takes great photos in most situations is enough. A solid display that looks good and responds well is enough. A phone that is fast, reliable, and gets regular software updates for years, that's what actually matters. The timing factor, there is something to be said about buying a phone right when it launches versus waiting. The iPhone 17e is expected to be announced in the next week or two. That means you are getting current generation technology, current software, and the longest possible software support timeline. Compare that to buying an older flagship that has been discounted. You might save some money upfront, but you're also getting older technology and fewer years of updates. What about storage and pricing tiers? Early reports suggested the iPhone 17e might start at $650 due to component costs, especially moving to an OLED display. But recent information suggests Apple might hold the line at $599 for the 128 gigs model. Some leaks even hint that 256 gigs could become the new base storage tier. If that is true, we are looking at incredible value, a current generation processor, MagSafe support, decent cameras, and plenty of storage for $599. The bigger picture, why this matters: the smartphone market has been pushing everyone toward more expensive devices for years. Features we do not need, cameras with capabilities most people never use, and premium materials that end up in a case anyway. The iPhone 17e represents a return to focusing on what actually matters: solid performance, reliable software, good build quality, and reasonable pricing. It is not trying to be the best at everything. It is trying to be good enough at the things that matter while being accessible to more people. While we still do not know, I need to be clear about something. Apple has not officially confirmed anything about the iPhone 17e yet. Everything we have discussed is based on industry reports, leaks, and educated speculation. The final specs, pricing, and features could be different from what we expect. We should have official confirmation in the next week or two, but until then, take everything with a grain of salt. That said, the overall direction seems consistent across multiple sources, so there is reason to be optimistic. So here is my take. The iPhone 17e might not be the most exciting phone Apple releases this year, but it could be the most important. Not because it breaks new ground or introduces revolutionary features, but because it focuses on giving people what they actually need at a price that makes sense. If you are someone who wants a reliable iPhone experience without paying flagship prices, this could be exactly what you've been waiting for. What do you think? Are you interested in the iPhone 17e, or are you still planning to go for one of the premium models? Let me know in the comments below, and if you found this video helpful, give it a like and subscribe for more tech content. I will be covering the official announcement as soon as Apple makes it, so make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.